The presidential candidate of the All Progressive Congress, Bola Tinubu, says he's picked Senator Kashim Shettima as his running mate because he's the man who can help him bring in the best governance to all of Nigerians, regardless of their religious affiliation. Tinubu made a disclosure on Sunday while addressing journalists after meeting President Muhammadu Buhari in Daura, Katsina State. He says, and I quote, if we truly understand the challenges upon us as a nation, then we must see the imperative of placing competence in governance above religious sentiment. According to him, Shettima's career in politics and beyond shows that he is eminently qualified not only to deliver all importantly electoral victory, but also step into the shoes of the vice president.
We had a very good period of the season, this time of the year, and to really pay homage to him and then share part of his holiday and lunch, and equally discuss the question of my running mate, substantia. One of them withdraw today. I mean, the only one that was in place as a replacement withdraw today, and there'll be already an announcement to replace him fully with a substantive,
What's the substantive one?
Kashim Shettima. I've not discussed with him. I've disclosed it to you since I've disclosed it to the president.
So how strong, united and formidable is your party ahead of the next general election?
We are going to win. Inshallah. Inshallah. We're going to win.
Why are you so confident?
Because we are a progressive party. We have the focus on Nigerian problems. We face the challenge squarely. We are not running away from it. We have a better program for the people and about the people and ready to serve.
A lot to unpack. So it's there we have a Muslim ticket.
Yes, it's been suspected that it would come down to this, and now it's been confirmed. I think this is a huge gamble on the part of Asiwaju Bola Tinubu and the APC. What he's gambling on, as he said in his 35, I believe, paragraph address, was that he was trying to envisage the best leadership for Nigeria without regard to religion or ethnicity or any of that. So that's the Nigeria he's trying to appeal to. It's been argued, quite convincingly, I must say, that this is not the time for that, that never have we been more, completely disarray in this country. There's such a marked lack of unity, and some might say it's as a result of the past 7 years under the APC, but I'll leave that for now. But that's why I'm saying it's a gamble. But sometimes I suppose what he's thinking is that as a leader, you have to shift the needle and everybody will follow you. Why it's a gamble is that people might not follow. A lot of people might feel resentful because we have not quite an even 50-50 split. I'm sure that we're not that scientific about it, but close enough of a 50-50 split between Muslims and Christians in this country. So it's very difficult to argue that you could not find a competent Christian to balance your ticket, and it had to be a Muslim ticket. And I think the other gamble is on his long-established reputation. He's always been known as a Muslim, yes, but a moderate, tolerant Muslim. Nobody has ever accused him of any kind of Islamization agenda. So I think he's also putting that on the line, the fact that in all these years, he's always been tolerant. He's married to a Christian that has been raised, previously, and he's surrounded by Christians. So people will not tend to see him as anybody with a sinister agenda, but it still remains a risk, it must be said. Now, the person he has chosen, we all got to know him quite well, if you did not know him before. During the primaries, the campaign for the APC's presidential primary, so he was all over the place speaking on behalf of his principal, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu. He's a 2-term governor of Borno State and serving senator. So he did show that he has that passion for his principle and his ideals, and he was a really articulate man. There was one gaffe of the ice cream seller incident, but he apologized for that. He has the intellect, he's articulate. But as governor of Borno State, his record will have to be x-rayed. What can be said for him on the positive side is that similar to Asiwaju Tinubu, he has now established a reputation for being able to spot talent, which has always been said in favor of Asiwaju Bola Tinubu. Governor Shettima can also say the same of himself, because Governor Babagana Zulum is doing an excellent job, and he was the one who sort of groomed him and, you know, made him governor, although that's quite undemocratic. That's the way it goes. He can take credit for that. On the security side, he had to battle Boko Haram in his 2 terms as governor of Borno, and we saw Boko Haram grow under his watch. So that's a minus for him. Although it can also be argued, we also remember when he went and cried at the villa to President Muhammadu Buhari, literal tears. So it can also be argued that having had that awful experience where he was fighting with one arm tied behind his back because of the kind of constitution that we have that only creates one Nigerian police force, even though he did get to have the civilian joint task force. For me, it makes me a bit hopeful that should they pass that obvious, the point of, actually getting elected, that this ticket will really get into state police, whose time has come yesterday. We need to get a state police officially as soon as possible. And I think him more than anybody else will know that, given his own personal experience.
Dr. Abati?
Okay. Well, before now, we were discussing in previous editions of this program the controversy over the choice of Alhaji Atiku Abubakar's running mate in the People's Democratic Party. And if we thought that there was high drama within the PDP, I think with the All Progressives Congress, with the announcement yesterday by Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu of his choice of former Governor Kashim Shettima as his running mate, we're even likely to witness greater drama in the All Progressives Congress. And, the controversy is already out there in the public domain, and there are 2 levels. Controversy within the party, and then controversy at the national level. Let's start with the party. Now, at the level of the party, before now, we were told that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu chose a placeholder, Alhaji Masari, who all the way from Saudi Arabia stepped down, we're told, by Honorable James Faleke, who is one of the campaign directors for Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So, he having stepped down, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu chose Daura as the location for the announcement of his running mate in order to meet the deadline of July 15, 17, prescribed by INEC as the last day when you are expected to announce your running mate. Now, the reactions, I said, are in 2 phases. Within the party, we're told that many of the APC governors are not happy. You know that before now, there was this lobby by the governors, the serving governors within the APC, particularly from the Northwest, for one of them to be chosen as a running mate to Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And the only non-Muslim amongst them was also considered Simon Lalong, the APC governor of Plateau State. Names were mentioned, Senator Atiku Bagudu, for example, of Kebbi State, the governor of Kaduna State, all of these persons from the northwestern part of the north. The Northwest has over 20 million votes, okay? Well, that was the figure in the 2019 general election. It represented about 24% of the voting population in that election. Now, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu has not chosen a serving governor. He has also not chosen from the Northwest. The analysis that is offered by This Day in the lead story today is that this has been interpreted as a miscalculation because he has now chosen his running mate from the Northeast, which has just about 11%, just a little over 10 million voters in the 2019 general election, representing about 11% of the total. So you have a block with about 24% or plus. You have another block with 11% plus, and then you have chosen from that angle. Now, the argument in the This Day story, which I also find interesting, is that if you add Bauchi State and Adamawa, which are predominantly Hausa Fulani, to the Northwest, in the 2023 election, you are likely to have more Hausa Fulani votes former Governor Kashim Shettima being a Kanuri, relatively a minority. So the this day analysis raises a poser to say of what electoral value is Kashim Shettima. How many votes can he bring to the table? So the story goes further to say that those conscientious objectors within the All Progressives Congress, they are claiming that they will go to the president to protest today and to then decide on next steps forward. So at the level of the party itself, there is need for Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu to mend fences, to try to carry everybody along, because those serving governors thought that one of them should be chosen and not a former governor. The other major issue of concern within the party, we're told, also has to do with the proposal to choose former chairman of the party, Adams Oshiomhole, as a director general of the Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu campaign. And we're told that many of these governors and members of the party, they are objecting to this. They think that while Oshiomhole will be very dynamic, but that it could be a divisive figure within the party, you know, and that in any case, he will be distracted. He is running for a senatorial position. And if he's running for a senatorial position, how much time will he have to concentrate on the presidential campaign? As we saw in 2019, when Senator Bukola Saraki in Kwara State chose the job of campaigning for Atiku as the coordinator of the presidential campaign, he lost his own senatorial seat. He lost the governorship seat in Kwara State, where his protege was on the ballot. And at the end of the day, even the PDP lost at the federal level. So those persons who are making that argument may well be right. The third leg of it within the party is that there are some members of the party who are also saying that no, they don't think that a Muslim ticket is the right position to take. Daniel Bwala, who is a member of the party, has had to resign from the party. He tweeted yesterday that he doesn't think that a Muslim ticket makes sense. He resigned. Another person, Senator Ishaya Abo, were also told resigned from his membership of the Tinubu campaign movement, again on the grounds that he does not consider Kashim Shettima a good choice. Now, that's within the party. So, but the party will have to worry about these details and resolve its own matter. However, outside the party, the main issue at the national level is the same faith ticket that the All Progressives Congress has now openly confronted Nigerians with. Religion being a very sensitive issue in Nigeria. And the Christian Association of Nigeria has spoken up. The Christian Network, Faith Network of Nigeria has also spoken up to say that this is retrogressive, this is unacceptable. However, the candidate, in his statement choosing Kashim Shettima, provided a very robust, fluid, even if arguable justification for his choice. He said what he wants to do is innovation, to move Nigeria forward. He wants to put a team together, a team that will not be determined by religion, by region, or by ethnicity, or by faith. So he provides that justification, and he says what he's interested in is competence, and that the man he has chosen is capable, is reliable, and is competent. These were his arguments. Well, other people may argue with him in that regard, but definitely the Christian community, you know, in Nigeria is not convinced by his conclusion that the spirit of 1993 is upon us in 2023, which is a throwback to what we had in the 1993 presidential election, whereby, you know, we had on the platform of the SDP a Muslim ticket, MK Abiola Babagana Kingibe ticket. And they went on, you know, to put up an excellent outing in that election, even if that was truncated by the military junta at the time. So it's 1993, 2023. Many Nigerians may not agree with that.
But I just want to add, since the spirit of 1993 is upon us, Asiwaju also went to get a Kanuri vice presidential candidate, because Babagana Kingibe is
He's
Kanuri.
also Kanuri.
Okay, two things. My opinion on this is, with this decision, you've split the country down the middle. The APC has split this country down the middle. What you're saying invariably is that there's nothing wrong with a Christian-Christian ticket, or a South-South ticket, or a North-North ticket. That's what you're saying. And that's why, if you sample the opinions of Nigerians, they are very angry to a large extent. Openly, I was monitoring radio this morning, and I heard people call it, I'm an APC member, but because of this decision, I am leaving APC. Openly calling on that. Yes, you talked about Daniel Bwala. He's resigned. Because what you're saying is that there's no Christian Muslim, there's no Christian Northerner capable enough to be able to run this. What you're saying is that there's no Christian in the North that is capable to be able to run with a candidate. And you see, politicians forget a lot. If there was nothing wrong with a Muslim ticket, why didn't President Muhammadu Buhari pick Bola Tinubu as his running mate in 2015? Why was a Yemi Osinbajo picked? And it's a good point you raised about electoral value. What electoral value does the Northeast even bring to the table? The bulk of the northern votes that wants to be captured are still the Fulani northern votes. And most of those votes come from the Northwest. I keep calling on those three states, Kano, Kaduna, Katsina. The KKK states, I call them. Those three states will give half of the total votes that the Northeast will give. Empirically, and these are facts. And we also forget that there's a massive Christian population. Across all states in the North, at least you have a percentile of over 20 to 30% Christians in all the states. Should we start from Kaduna? There's even a large turnout. There's even an argument of, a majority in Kaduna. I think only states like Kano, that's where you can have 20 to 30%. Adamawa, you have a lot of Christians. So when you look at this, Muslim North, there are a lot of Christians in those states. Look at the rural areas in Kaduna. Look at Kujuru. Look at other places like that. These people are predominantly Christians. So you are telling us that out of that whole lot, you cannot find a Christian to balance out the ticket. Most importantly, I do not believe in when people react to things and get emotional. I think the greatest reaction will be at the polls. If Nigerians want a Muslim ticket, they should decide at the polls. If they don't want, they should show it at the polls. It's incumbent on them. But we're at a point where this nation is at a precipice, and the issues on the front burner that affect this nation is tribe, religion. We want to bring this country together. But let us not forget that the reason why we are calling for devolution of power and restructuring is that we are still collectively not one people in our thinking. We have created Nigeria, but we have not yet created Nigerians. What we have are the Igbos, Hausas, Yorubas. We have not yet.
No, we have over 400 ethnic nationalities.
And over 400 ethnic nationalities. And even over 500 ethnic nationalities.
Well, Onugu Otite says over 400.
The prominent ones and the other ethnic nationalities. But we have not yet created Nigerians. So it is until we create Nigerians that we can make the argument of, religion doesn't matter. Tribe doesn't matter. Have we done that? No. After Lancaster House talks in the 50s, when we reached agreement, what did we say? We wanted to be regions. We wanted to be autonomous regions. At some point, we even made the argument for confederacy. Those were the things that were talked about in Aburi. Because there's still that mistrust across board. And we cannot run away from it. I want a one Nigeria, yes, but there's mistrust. And how do we build it? Inclusion. This ticket has not included people. Let the elections speak.
Yes, the choice belongs to the people, definitely. We have the beauty of democracy
Yes.
is that the people have the right, the power to choose. And we have 18 political parties who says that the race must be just between APC or PDP. So if you don't want a Muslim ticket, Muslim ticket, same faith ticket, you have options on the table. Let the race begin. Let the best option prevail.
The Nigerian Security and Defense Council, called NSCDC, has altered the nation of plans by members of the Islamic State in West African Province terrorist group to launch coordinated and spontaneous attack on soft and hard targets in the Federal Capital Territory. The NSCDC FCT Commandant Peter Megari, who issued the red alert in a restricted memo dated Friday, July 8, states that certified intelligence reveals that members of the decimated terrorist group Islamic State in West African Province have concluded plans to launch more coordinated and spontaneous attacks on selected targets within the FCT and have declared war against Christians in Nigeria. A copy of the red alert, which was addressed to Permanent Security Federal Capital Territory Administration FCT, said terrorists are likely to carry out more coordinated attacks in selected cities, towns, security formations, and worship centers in the FCT. The memo calls for a review of existing security measures in the nation's capital in order to frustrate the terrorist plans. A lot to talk about. And just note, attack against Christians, as stated in that news story there.
Yeah, we have American senators writing, talking about how the Christians in Nigeria are under attack and we should be put back on the religious intolerance list. But I just want to read a tweet we just got now, tweeted by Right Honorable Lasson Yusuf Suleiman. Just in, gunmen in uniforms are presently in my residence shooting sporadically. Just ties in with the story about this issue. So I really feel that our problem in Nigeria really is not an intelligence problem, as it has been posited several times. The intelligence exists. Where we drop the ball here is what we do with it. Even before Kuje prison was attacked, there was intelligence. Now this stern warning has been issued, what is going to happen. And it's very clear, the call to change security measures, bolster security measures to protect people, to preserve lives. Will it be heeded? This is the issue. Same as the Kaduna train attack, there was intelligence about that. There was a warning. We can even go all the way back to Chibok. There was a warning. Nothing was done. That's always the problem. So that needs to be addressed. What exactly causes these failings in intelligence? This is extremely worrying.
Dr. Batsu?
The problem is the political will to deal with the challenge beyond rhetoric. The other day, the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party was saying that the government of the day should move away from just promises and threats and rhetorical declarations that we will bring the perpetrators to justice. And I caution that, well, since he knows what the problem is, were he to win, along with his party in 2023, or any other person whatsoever, already has his job cut out for him. In this particular case, yes, it's a no-brainer that, Nigeria is under siege. Not even prisoners are safe. Not even ordinary people are safe. The waterways are not safe. The roads are not safe. The rails are dangerous everywhere. We are under assault. We live in a kettle, combustible situation in different parts of the country. So this is the civil defense, alerting, drawing attention to the fact that, look, Abuja is not safe, the Federal Capital Territory, which is scandalous because the Federal Capital Territory is one of the most protected, allegedly, spots in Nigeria because it's the seat of government. That's where you have the Brigade of Guards. The Brigade of Guards has the responsibility not just to protect the president, but also to protect that entire territory. And you had the terrorists attacking Kuje prison. How many kilometers to the Asu Villa, the presidential villa? So very close by, to the presidential villa. And they carried on their operation for 4 complete hours, the reports indicated. So with that audacity, with the freedom to operate, then of course, it's a no-brainer to know that they have been emboldened to want to attack again. And so instead of the authorities, the defense headquarters engaging Femi Fani-Kayode in needless controversy, or the police claiming that they are capable, look, what Nigerians just want is they want Section 14, subsection 2 of the 1999 Constitution, which talks about the responsibility of government, which is the security and welfare of the people. If the people are not secure, if they are dealing with a raging pandemic of empty pockets and a cost of living crisis, then of course you can explain the despondency that you find, across the country. So it's not enough to just give the information. It is for government to work in that direction, so that we don't wake up one day and hear that the terrorists have even shown audacity beyond anybody's imagination. As for the tweet by Honorable Lasun Yusuf from Oshogbo, well, this week, all the stakeholders in the Osun election are expected to sign the peace accord. And we hope that all the major gladiators in that election coming up this weekend will respect the principles of that accord, which is about peace, which is about behaving like sportsmen. Honorable Lasun Yusuf is the candidate of the Social Democratic Party, right? No, of the Labour Party in that state. Is that Labour Party? Yeah. That symbol, yes. That's Labour Party, and now it's gone public to say that gunmen in uniforms are attacking his residence. Well, that's not a good signal, for the forthcoming election in Osun State. And we hope that the security agencies will take special notice of this and ensure that that election is conducted peacefully.
When it comes to security, it is the lifeblood of any nation. And I'll point to 3 events that happened over the week, or in the course of last week, spilling into over the week. The Kuje prisons were attacked. All of a sudden, the bandits released 7 people kidnapped. And now we're having a case of a circular going around as regards insecurity. 3 key events. What are the investigations? Have we taken our time to investigate the reports that were emanating about the change of guard at the Kuje prison? That process, what happened?
Defense headquarters denied that.
Okay, they've denied that. Good. And also, have we taken our time to investigate why we don't have CCTV footage in a prison? Have we taken our time to investigate why there are no measures of record in place? Because the only record we have now of that incident, of only video evidence, was the video being circulated by the groups that came to attack. So how come that we have no spy cameras that have taken cognizance of the event, but the only evidence we can get is from the groups attacking? We've had 9 prison attacks. What were the measures put in place in those 9 attacks to ensure that the incident does not repeat itself? How can people, a nation, have 9 prison attacks from the course of 2021 to this time, starting with the Imo attacks? Have we asked ourselves critical questions as regards that? So, and concerning Honorable Lasun's episode, which is very sad, but it has just shown what our politics have become. Politics is supposed to be a festival of ideas, but people now turn politics into a time where they can shoot lethal firecrackers at the expense of other people's life. I'm sure the security agents will have been contacted. And if possible, as our role in the media, it would be good if Honorable Lasun can reach out to us to tell us about his safety as he's put this SOS message out there. But there goes our politics in 2022. Nigeria, we hail thee. That's all on news headlines. We'll take a short break. When we return, we'll have Rotus, we have Michael, we have Adesua. Give us updates on Africa, global business, and COVID-19 activities. Stay with us.
Only 57% of COVID-19 funds Nigeria received from the Global Fund grants have been spent by the end of the implementation period of 30th June 2021. Supply chain and data issues and government not fulfilling its implementation promises are amongst challenges revealed by the Office of the Inspector General of the Global Fund in an audit report on Global Fund grants to the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The Global Fund is a worldwide movement to defeat HIV, tuberculosis, and malaria and ensure a healthier, safer, more equitable future for all. Arise business correspondent Rosa Sadiri went through the audit documents and sent in this report.
The Office of the Inspector General of the Global Fund in Switzerland has released a report on Global Fund grants in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Coming to Nigeria, Nigeria has the third highest number of HIV infections in the world. 1.7 million people are living with HIV and AIDS. It has the highest tuberculosis burden in Africa and the sixth highest globally. Nigeria also has the highest number of global malaria cases as of 2019, as well as the highest number of deaths. In terms of assistance in fighting diseases, Nigeria is the single biggest recipient of Global Fund grants, having been allocated over $1.5 billion for the 2017 to 2019 and 2020 to 2022 funding cycles. The Global Fund has also allocated $294 million to Nigeria to mitigate the impact of COVID-19. The grants, as far as their performance, are mostly performing well across the three diseases, with a positive trend in key impact indicators. HIV performance is steadily improving, treatment figures are rising, and infections have decreased by 28% over the last 10 years. Malaria prevalence fell by almost 50% between 2010 and 2018. Tuberculosis notification has increased, and tuberculosis treatment has improved from 24% to 40% over the last 3 years. Community interventions, however, are not meeting vulnerable population needs. Urgent attention should be given to interventions for pregnant women, children under 5 years old, adolescent people, and key populations. Programmatic interventions are rated by the Global Fund as partially effective. The Global Fund's supply chain arrangement in Nigeria similarly needs significant improvement. Since 2016, the organization has contracted Chemonics to provide supply chain services for HIV and malaria commodities. Chemonics' internal controls, according to the Global Fund, are inadequate, and they found multiple unexplained variances. Information technology systems do not generate accurate and reliable supply chain data and information, according to the audit report. Here are some other key findings from the report. Only 57% of COVID-19 2020 funds have been spent by the end of the implementation period of June 30th, 2021. Important activities amounting to $24 million were not fully implemented in Nigeria. Also, from the sampled commodities procured and received, only 23% have been distributed as of the 30th of September 2021. Commodities remained in warehouses for an average of 6 months, resulting in expirations at the central warehouse level. Government co-financing commitments increased to $1.2 billion for 2020 to 2022, up 83% from 2017 to 2019. However, significant delays and non-fulfillment of government commitments are affecting program impact. Programmatic and supply chain data systems are not well coordinated, resulting in inefficiencies and data quality issues, according to the audit report. The Global Fund's Office of Inspector General Auditors visited 30 health facilities across 3 states, Federal Capital Territory, Kano, and Taraba, as well as the Abuja Premier Medical Warehouse. The audit's overall objective was to provide reasonable assurance on the adequacy, effectiveness, and efficiency of Global Fund grants to Nigeria. Ratings across the board range from partially effective to needs significant improvement. Here's what's really alarming. The Office of Inspector General compared the Global Fund Secretariat's aggregated assessed risk levels of the key risk categories covered in the audit objectives for the Nigeria portfolio with the residual risk that exists based on the assessment mapping risk to specific audit findings. The results that risk levels were no less than high, with supply chain risks ranked very high. To address these issues, 5 action plans with due dates have been suggested. 1. Improve procurement and supply chain processes and procedures, including updating relevant procurement manuals, procedures, and establishing a well-defined system that enables adequate monitoring and accountability of donor-funded commodities. This is due June 30th of 2023. 2. The Secretariat will finalize the capacity assessment of the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, the NCDC, and develop a costed and time-bound capacity building plan for the NCDC and the National Agency for the Control of AIDS. The Secretariat will work with relevant partners to develop an integrated domestic resource mobilization and sustainability plan for HIV, tuberculosis, and malaria programs. This is due October the 31st of 2022. The Secretariat will work with relevant government agencies and partners to develop an action plan to improve prevention of mother-to-child transmission services coverage in Nigeria, specifically to fill the huge gaps in testing pregnant women and improving early infant diagnosis, EID. That's due on the 31st of December 2022. Finally, the Secretariat will, in collaboration with the National Tuberculosis and Leprosy Control Program, relevant partners, and stakeholders, support efforts to develop a roadmap for a tuberculosis prevalence survey highlighting the major survey milestones, indicative budgets, and timelines. This is due April 2023. Nigeria needs all the assistance she can get in fighting diseases and improving its healthcare system. As this in-depth report from the Global Fund shows, it's even more important that when that assistance arrives, inefficiencies and mediocrity don't undermine it. For Arise News, Rodus Odiri.
A lot to talk about this morning, Tunu.
Well, I like the caveat Rota's placed at the end there, and that's really the bottom line about proper management. It's constantly so embarrassing how we mismanage so much of our resources.
Well, I think the important thing about it is dealing with the public health crisis that we face, particularly with HIV infection. Nigeria has an agency which is collaborating with some of these international partners. And in this particular case, this is the Global Fund giving its own audit report. And it's quite interesting to find that Nigeria still has the largest population of persons living with HIV/AIDS in Africa, but the total is 1.7 million. But when you disaggregate that further, you'll find that some states have higher incidence rate than others. And that's why in that report, there is talk about, focusing more on high-risk segments of the population. Malaria remains endemic in Nigeria. And we have also the highest number of deaths resulting from malaria in Nigeria. And then, of course, tuberculosis, high rate of tuberculosis. But in all of these three, public health issues, we're told that there's been some improvement. However, if you look at the amount of money that the report claims was spent in 2020, 57% of available grant. Well, in many of these countries, not just Nigeria, the effect of COVID was a major challenge because, many public health systems began to focus more on COVID-19 and routine immunization, particularly with regard to pregnant women and also children, also mentioned in that report, suffered. So the challenge that many jurisdictions face now is to make sure that these other public health issues receive the attention that they deserve, that focus, almost exclusive focus on COVID-19 by many countries, diverted attention away from. However, the good thing about the report is that it doesn't talk about Nigeria in any negative terms, which is quite heartwarming, which is quite enheartening to hear that in terms of performance, there's been a positive trend. But the indication is that Nigeria still needs to do a lot more, both in terms of the supply chain challenges that have been identified, both in terms also of logistics and also in terms of accountability and a result-oriented. And those 5 action plans that have been indicated, we hope that these will be taken seriously going forward. But clearly, Nigeria needs to place the right emphasis on public health issues. How do they say it now? A healthy nation is... a
wealthy nation.
Yeah, it's a healthy nation that can have a good population. These are 3 major diseases. There are other health challenges in Nigeria. So the partnership with institutions like Global Fund and others, because there are so many other partners in that space, is useful. But there must be a commitment to public health, because it's only when Nigerians are healthy and the majority of the people are not going about with tuberculosis and malaria and HIV that the country can be more productive.
For me, I think the report just, put out there the need for public accountability. And while I was watching the report, it just shows, and the part of me was saying, I wish government funds can be clearly accounted for like this in Nigeria. And I wish government projects and targets can be clearly accounted for. And I think it's something we should also learn in governance, methodology for accountability. The fact that every little fund spent, and this because there are a lot of donor funds in there, you need to be able to break it down and compare it with milestones. And look at the report, it clearly enunciates cost-benefit ratio, which I think is lacking in governance in Nigeria today. A lot of people don't clearly state, if I spend this, what will be the outcomes? What will this give me? The report also clearly shows what the power of data can do as regards projection and helping, to achieve a lot of your goals you set out. The question is, do we have enough data? Have we even invested in data? What are even the sample sizes we have as we speak today? So that's another thing that we can take learnings from here as a country. And how can we use data to do a lot? Because there's so much we can use data to do. Be it, public health, be it malaria and tuberculosis, paying attention to illnesses like that, be it even diseases around under 5 children. There's so much data could do. Be it even the fight against COVID-19. There's so much data can do. But the question is, do we have that data resident here? Do we have that level of, country resident data that we've mined internally? Because you can see that in the interplay of the reports. So it's a holistic one, and it's something that we can all take learnings from.
In many of our departments, particularly at the federal level, we have Office of Monitoring and Evaluation, which is very critical to accountability. Even at state levels. How much use do we make of those offices? So you just have a special advisor, special assistant, monitoring and evaluation. What they do most of the time is to go on trips. And they will come back and write miserable reports. Nobody acts on that. Okay, we need to strengthen our monitoring and evaluation process, because no international donor will give you a grant without making sure that they monitor and they evaluate on a consistent basis.
Yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Moving on to more business update. Michael Wilson joins us now from London. Good morning, Mr. Wilson.
Good morning. Hong Kong down about 2%. China is imposing fines on Tencent and Alibaba this morning, imposing those fines for not apparently complying with anti-monopoly rules on disclosure of transactions. As far as that's concerned, also, they're down very, very slightly. Casino stocks down in Hong Kong as well, more because commercial and industrial businesses in Macau will be shutting in a week to stop the spread of COVID-19, and Singapore and Malaysia are closed for a holiday. We look at various figures out of China. Here's one for you. Manufacturing factories are finding that they are feeling the lack of demand from the rest of the world. A strong rebound from the pandemic, and also spot ocean rates between China and major US and European markets are falling as consumer demand retreats. Let's think about consumer demand. Keep that thought going until the end of my report. Normal trade is normalizing, not quite a recession in the rest of the world, but China's factories are certainly pushing towards that. Now, is this the end of Pax Japonica? In Japan, the ruling LDP wins a landslide victory after the tragic death of Abe, the retired president. He was relatively hawkish. This is a big change in the way that Japan will probably run itself after his death. He was pretty hawkish himself. There's a cost of living crisis in most places there. He tried to stimulate the economy with a thing called Abenomics, but this Pax Japonica, this idea that it would be passive, and its relations with the rest of the world, I think, are now fading, and that'll be the legacy as the parties adjust to an election which actually attracted a huge turnout, much bigger than the elections in 2019. Meantime, Sri Lanka, oh dear, presidential palaces there in Colombo, occupied since Saturday. Video, jubilant crowds are splashing in the garden pool, lying on beds and all the rest of it. Not quite sure where the president is right now. No indication about his movements at all. The IMF and the rest of the world fine to help Sri Lanka, but it has to have political stability before that can actually start. That will be one of the conditions as the IMF certainly, as they walk back to the table there. As far as the United States is concerned, it's the beginning of the earnings season as well. Futures dropping actually slightly. All of the average secured a winning week last week, the first one really of the second half of the year. But again, a big week coming up. And again, I'll touch on that at the end of my report. Looks like Elon Musk wants to end his $44 billion deal to buy Twitter. One has to ask, why on earth in the first place did he do this? Now, the kind of questions being asked are particularly, was this just a half thought through plaything kind of thought as far as he was concerned? Didn't think, I mean, everybody goes to a company, offers certain money for it, they do their due diligence, and then they probably lower the value of the bid. But this has been played out with no idea of where it's going at all, and no idea whether Elon Musk has actually been serious about it. Twitter shares down 6% on Friday. A huge leak on Uber. Unsurprisingly, it was lobbying very, very hard before it actually started business about 10 years ago. It got excessive help from France and also from the EU. There were private meetings with British politicians as well, not in London but in California. And they also, Uber apparently had this thing called a kill switch, which could be switched on to stop tax authorities accessing their computers. The European area, Europe is on edge as Russia cuts its gas supplies through. Now, this is all part of annual maintenance, so they say. There is an enormous fear that this will not be switched on. The outage will probably start towards the end until July the 21st. UK Bank of England under pressure. The UK BIS plans for extended period of inflation. 2/3 of the companies expect a recession. IOD members, the Institute of Directors, will be hiking prices as well. Companies have already been wargaming for this. Already, retailers have been seeing a slowdown in the economy, and August the 5th meeting, it's expected an interest rise of 0.5%. The political uncertainty continues. Nothing's going to be decided really as far as the markets are concerned until there are fewer runners and riders. Sterling slight rise. The euro has been relatively weak this morning because of EU recession worries. As far as the UK is concerned, also big relief from many people going to supermarkets this morning. Tesco and Heinz have reached an agreement on pricing, which means that Britain's favourite baked beans and tomato ketchup product will be back on the shelves. The row reflects pressures on firms, and tax is the most divisive issue coming up in these elections. Meanwhile, petrol and diesel companies are being freshly investigated by the competition watchdog. The companies are saying they have passed on the fuel cut, but there are significant differences which the authorities are now actually looking at. So the week coming up, then, it's going to be a fairly challenging one. There probably will be hot inflation from the United States and the beginning of the season. I have a question to ask. Well, I've got two questions to ask you all. I know you like to ask me questions. I've got two for you. First of all, puzzle me this then: inflation, commodity prices down, nickel down, copper down, wheat down, oil down. M4, one of the main indicators of money supply, is also down from 15% in 2020 to 4% today. Is it demand destruction? And the final question is, how long do you spend in the shower? Now, this is very important because a lot of Europeans are saying the day of the 5-minute shower is upon us in order to save energy. Who showers for 5 minutes? Does anybody shave? I mean, apparently the average is 10 minutes. I find this incredible. I certainly do not shower for 5 minutes in the morning. I think it can be even less than that. Over to you.
I don't even know. I don't time it. But I think I probably do closer to 10 minutes. Mr. Wilson, I'm sure you're horrified. But my question for you is about Uber and President Macron. He's obviously dismissed these sort of sensational claims, saying that obviously he had contact with these companies when he was economy minister from 2014 to 2016, but the opposition is really making hay out of it or attempting to. Do you think that this is going to cause some damage to him? Might this stick?
No, I don't think it will. I think that what will happen is it'll pass just as all the other lobbying claims do. They're incredibly difficult to prove one way or the other. There's probably, if there's something on paper, then maybe there is. There may be a record of meetings, but people of particular lobbyists talk to politicians all the time. I'm not denying it's serious. I'm not denying the seriousness of the allegations. I just don't think there is enough to make it stick.
Well, clearly, Michael, the world is in a very difficult place, okay? Whether we shower for 5 minutes or 3 minutes or 2 minutes. Even, global economic growth projection is also down. And we have seen the effect in terms of the consequences in Sri Lanka, where Rajapaksa, is fleeing and the opposition are trying to cobble a government together. Lebanon is down. Ghana is going to the IMF. Cost of living crisis everywhere. Boris Johnson may have been pushed out because of his own acts of indiscretion, but of course, it's not as if things are easy either, even in Great Britain. However, I wanted to talk about Japan. Shinzo Abe, yes, probably helped. Well, that's not a nice thing to say. His death helped the Liberal Democratic Party and the other junior partners to get a comfortable majority in the parliamentary election yesterday, 146 out of 248. So the Liberal Democratic Party and Prime Minister Kishida, who seem to have made a big political capital out of that, sympathy votes mainly. But what I wanted to talk about is Abenomics, as we called it. Big spending, big stimulus, reflation. Now, how easy will it be for the Prime Minister to move away, abandon the legacy of Shinzo Abe? Is it automatic that he will use that majority to his advantage, or it may not be as easy as some analysts are trying to make it look? And then as for Elon Musk and Twitter, well, Twitter has gone to court. They've engaged Wachtel and Co. LLP. But is it in the interest of Twitter to engage in a long, drawn-out legal battle? Because that may affect staff morale. It may even affect the share price of the company, which is already down to $30-something, far, far below what Elon Musk projected originally. Will it not be better for them to settle out of court? And then will Elon Musk respect the obligation that the breakup fee is $1 billion? What do you think is likely to happen?
I have no idea what Elon Musk is going to do. I've always voiced my skepticism about it right from the beginning. It seems an incredible way to conduct things. If we'd not been talking about a bid this morning or the beginning of the month, we might well have been talking about what is the business model for Twitter. It's going through an enormous revolution. You're quite right. It doesn't need this at the moment. Who knows what the lawyers will do? I personally would go down your route. I'd just settle out of court. I don't think it's in anybody's interest to keep this going. But it does show, and particularly in the United States, that if you bid for a company and you are relatively serious about it, then there are certain kinds of obligations that you have to go through. And Elon Musk will find, I mean, he must have known about this. This is what the incredible thing is. I cannot believe that either side did not know, A, which way it was going to go, and B, to continue with lawyers and the legal system is going to be extremely expensive. This one will run and run. I'm absolutely with you. I think if it were me, I'd just say, okay, fine, an unfortunate episode. Let's get over it. Let's move on. As far as Japan's concerned, Abenomics, yeah, it did. It tried to stimulate the economy. It didn't succeed. I don't know whether the LDP party, with its increased majority in the upper house, will continue to do this. I mean, nobody's come out with anything at the moment. All I know is I think it's a very, very important thing as far as Pax Japonica is concerned, and the way in which it will alter the standing of what is still the world's third largest economy in the general run of things. I think that there will be more, how can I put this, militarism, less, or perhaps indeed less pacifism from Japan right now. Abe was a hawk, and I've got no reason to suspect that his successors won't be as well.
All right, real quickly, but Michael, we all did know that Elon Musk was just joking when he said he was going to buy Twitter. It was obvious, because how did this start? It started by him telling most of his followers on Twitter that, can I buy Twitter? Should I buy it? And then he started buying shares in Twitter, and that was just it. So it was a joke all along. So I'm not surprised about Elon Musk and his shenanigans. But I think moving on to more serious things, more than Elon Musk and Twitter, I'd like to talk about the cost of living crisis that will befall Europe if Russia does not turn back that gas on after this maintenance. Because that's a scenario that might befall Europe. Is anybody thinking of any buffers as we speak now, in a case where Putin just wants to play a game and say, I'm not turning this back on?
I think just back to Elon Musk, a very expensive joke, quite honestly. I don't think anybody's laughing about that. But, again, it defies belief that this was happening in the first place. As far as the recession's concerned, yes, it will be quite serious. However, puzzle me this one then. So India, for example, buys cheap, discounted oil from Russia. It refines the oil into diesel. It sells the diesel to the UK. So in effect, the UK will be buying Russian oil. So nothing is quite as simple as that. I'm certain, I'll go back to the 5-minute shower. This is what the Germans are facing right now. They realise that this power may well be cut off, and they're going to reduce their demand. Is this where demand destruction comes in? Again, these things are far too early to call right now. It could be destination disaster, but I suspect the world will find probably different ways. It'll take them some time. It may be a very, very cold winter, but I think that this time next year, I would hope, and I have no reason to suspect that the war won't be continuing as far as that's concerned. I simply don't know. It's not my area. But I think that we will find different ways of skirting Russian gas supplies, and Germany will too.
Well, Michael, if you don't mind, let me throw in small politics. The Tory leadership race. As of yesterday, 9 on the list already. 2 more are to join this morning, we're told. Foreign Secretary Liz Truss and Priti Patel, the Home Secretary. But all of them have been talking about tax cuts. That has become the major refrain in the last 72 hours. So is that just simple populism? Because nobody is talking about the cost of the cuts they are proposing, and how is that likely to influence the Tory backbenchers who will begin the process of the selection of the last 2, who will then be chosen eventually as Prime Minister and leader of the party?
I think it's like most things. It's a bit like a playground right now. Everybody's joining in and they're all talking. And it's, yesterday, over the weekend, it was about tax cuts. Who's going to emerge to say, actually, what we want to do is repair the economy of the UK, which it can do. And we could also, can we take advantage of Brexit as well, rather than just saying, oh, look what we left behind. What can we be looking forward to? Again, I think it's too early. As I was saying, it's too early right now to be taking market attention towards this, because nothing's going to happen until the race narrows itself down. You've got 12, I think there are 12 of them right now, all saying, some of them saying the same kind of thing. Some of them are sniping at each other. Some are saying that, we'd like this person as the deputy prime minister. This is what politics are doing. I think crucial to this is A, the field narrows down, and B, I feel as though once it's narrowed down, they should bring forward this election and let Boris leave as quickly as possible. So all we'll get from Boris is him earning millions on the lecture and the broadcast circuit, and he will get newspaper columns and the rest of it.
Well, thank you very much, Michael Wilson. We'll see how it plays out. whether it's Rishi Sunak at the end of the day or whoever will emerge. Thank you very much indeed.